It's that magic moment when installing balance wheel and the clock just wants to start ticking. Hey guys, Jacques here. So I wanted to go over a few things to finish the assembly of this Roskopf watch, and as soon as I let the balance wheel, it just starts ticking like the watch movement should do. The way to install the spring, I'm going to hook up the outside end of the spring, and then I'm going to always hold whatever is in, and turn, hold, turn, hold. Till the end. There. Install some nuts on the back side here. Engage all 4 screws, and then you can tighten up. Just first thing, you want to make sure this gear spins really free on the barrel here. And then using this tool as a guide, you can make sure the threads are ready to get the screws. Using the tool, make sure the holes are square to the surface, and then this clamp comes on. Sure, I can still turn the gear and put the screws. Not too tight. Okay. That's for the barrel. Make sure the pin that the barrel spins on the pin. Engage the notch and the spring, and then push the pin through. That's ready to install. And then I put this in. I have the harbor in the barrel. To do this spring for the ratchet, I fixed the ratchet on the tool. That gives me a better hold, and then I just, once I hooked up the spring, I just made 4 turns with the spring around the part of the ratchet here, finish with an angle about that much, and then when I install, I want to engage the ratchet in the gear, and then this end just comes in the gap here, and that's where the ratchet sits in place. But let's have a look at this first. Minute hand has a nut and a screw to hold them in place. This can be a little bit tricky if you don't really know. It's those two gears here. If you take them apart too many times, it might be too loose. So the first thing is to do this. This one has a chamfer, the side that comes against a frame. I'm using this tool to guide the pin straight to the gear. So line up with the gear, take a hammer, make sure the gear is fairly square with the harbor. Then I put the gear in place here. Then I have this tool, put the gear in the middle. That ensures that you don't take the wrong gear. This one looks very much the same as this, but it will not fit. So with this in place, now you can come, take your frame, put it on top, line up the gear harbor, so that holds the frame square with the other gear. And hammer again. Make sure there's a little bit of play. If that's too much, you can do it a little bit more. And check that there's just a little bit. That should make it work not too bad. Have this harbor with a little bend at the end. That will come in the 18. There's a little notch. I use this tool. And it's almost flush with the end. It's fairly square. If this sticks up, it's okay. Washer. Another washer in between the hand, minute gear. Oh, should be very easy to turn the minute hand by hand. Hand by hand. So I'm going to engage the ratchet in this hole here, and then I'll engage the harbor in this ratchet, the barrel, and turn to engage the gears. There. And that should spin. Okay, other side. Put the harbor in the gears. So it helps to just prep the hole sometimes. It's still tight enough, and if it's too hard, some pliers. Then I can use this tool, push some more. So I adjusted the position, check the instruction to see the measurement here. This will come in that hole down here, and the gear is going to be at the level of the frame here. Then I have this gear. It's the same principle. Start with the gear like this. I use the 1mm tool and work the hole. Okay, I don't want to do too much, I want it to still be tight. And then the same, take my harbor and pliers. The tool there until I get it at the right position. Again, see the instruction. So the gear comes here. Now I can put my top bridge. Yeah. Make sure the harbors are not sticking. That should spin nicely. Should be a little bit of play like this. Play like this. Then this gear is not going to touch this gear. Next come the escape wheel. It's the same principle. Work the hole, push in the harbor. When I have the harbors, just make sure I have nice, even, nicely rounded and I turn the harbor as I'm doing this. It's hard to get a sharp shot. And then you can push it in. Okay. So it comes here. And then I have my bridge. Again, check that it's not sticking out. Then if I turn it, I want to see if when I turn it, does it come out? Yeah, it did, so that's good. So, test. Yeah. Put that cover in place, tighten up, put a screw here. Also want to check, before I put the anchor, also want to check the balance wheel before I attach the spring, and make sure the balance wheel spins really nice. That looks quite okay. Have a balance wheel here. So same thing, work the center hole already. This one I made it, it's already too big. Then push the harbor in. Then I made this tool. Holes. That way I can put those little pins. The holes on the top part are slightly bigger, so I can install the pin and then hammer. and line up those grooves. You can see the pins just fall right into the groove. With the help of this tool, again, I can do those holes back here, this hole, this. Maybe it's easier to do before the center. And then I have my top collet. You can here see it holds the spring. The idea was to be able to adjust the position of the spring if needed. So again, there's a hole to thread here. Already did it, so it's not too hard. But for now, I'm going to put it on. The hole is going to be a deposit of the pins. You want to be a line. And this little plate. This is the final. When the spring engage, you want to make sure it's centered as much as possible with the balance wheel. And then there's one plate as a spacer, there's another plate that has threads, 2 screws. The spring is going to come around this screw here. So this is where the spring hooks up. For the anchor is in 2 parts. They'll come on top of each other like this. And then there'll be one harbor and 2 pins. The thing to do is always starting from the back side. This is the back side. Holes are bigger, you can check. So start with the center hole. And then I have this tool to help. So there's 3 holes. So make sure those holes are slightly, that it's quite easy to put the pin in. And then a check. Make sure the tool is good. I'm going to measure. Make sure I have all the same dimension on one side and on the other side. Tells me that the pins are parallel. So then I can start putting this. So the flat side is going to come against the tool. If I look through the holes. Might be hard to see here. You should see light. So you should be able to see the light through those holes if they're well aligned. Now I can put those pins. Once they're started, I can okay. Now we can keep going. Then the second part will come like this. Again, check the. So I'm going first clean that center hole, at least the beginning, so I can put it then you want to check that the dot and the fork are aligned. Now I can keep pushing those pins in. The other side. I can take the tool off. And finish. And then push this. And that's pretty much done. The last thing is test the balance. Ideally, it would be nice to have it totally balanced, to have a good timekeeping or position. That all depends on the printing settings, how much layer and infill, so yours might not be perfect, but that's close. What you can do if you really want is put some hot glue or take weight off the heavy part, so like it would need a little bit more weight on this side coming up. Now I can put the anchor. Then I have my top bridge. Check this free motion. Check doesn't stick out. Put the screw. Now I can put A little bit of tension. Might not have enough lock on this one. I did several variations. But it still works, so as the last thing to test when the anchor is done and the balance wheel is that there's a little bit of play between the two pins and it doesn't catch. Also want those angles here nice and clean so there's no risk of the pins when they push and they catch. So now, that magical moment when balance wheel meets the watch. So the two pins will come in the fork. Then some tension on the mainspring. It's working! Okay, it's working, but it's not even, so I'm losing up this. I'm going to push the ratchet out of the way. I'm going to release the spring. So, I want to align like this screw with the anchor. It should be a bit here. So I can push this spring. It's still too much here, I need to be a little bit here. So. Looks quite okay. I think that's good enough. It's a much even tick. So ideally it should be 400 milliseconds. It's quite close. it shows level. So I added 2 screws, one here, one here. Now I'm too slow, 410. Now we need to shorten, put some shorter screws. You can see it's 1 minute fast per 24 hours like this. So here is the watch ticking happily. Hope you like this video, that you learn a few tricks if you're interested in making it. Now there's still a lot, like doing a steel spiral spring like this one. The spring, the 3D printed spring over time might get crooked and fall. Might have to redo it after some time. I don't know how long they last, but anyway, hope you like the video. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next time. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.